On the night in question, no small box was taken from Windybank's pawnbrokery. And rest assured, the prosecution can prove it. What?
Good wishes!
Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, if you please.
Yes, sir.
Gregson, you know something? What prints?
These prints were taken from one of the detective's security cameras.
Ah, Hurley's red-handed recorders again! As previously explained using this plan of the shop layout. The victim's establishment was furnished with an automatic cameras in 2 locations. One was set to capture the counter where Mr. Windybank received his customers, and the other was set to capture the shelves on which articles were placed on for sale once forfeited.
According to the information on this ticket, the gilded small box have been forfeited already. 2 days before the incident at 9 PM on 13th April, to be precise, which means it would have been on the shelves for forfeited items in the shop front. Now, what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's at 11 PM on 15th of April. The victim certainly had a very full shop, it would appear. And then here we have another print. This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident. I see, so we have 2 pictures to compare.
Oh, yeah.
Though I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold.
Okay, let me try the trick. Oh, there's a small box. The small box moved! The small box in the lower right corner, it moved.
Dear me, that's starting to make my head ache. Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we consider theft as one possible motive in this case. We explored the possibility that something has been taken in addition to the victim's life. As a young man, I've already compared these 2 prints thoroughly, Inspector. Yes, sir.
Oh god, they have the same voice. I cannot make them different.
We counted every single item in each of these 2 photographic prints. And the yard's conclusion is that exactly the same number are present in both.
The same number? In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbrokery on the night in question, and my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy. I don't believe it. If I could have just shown that he'd stolen McGilda's pawn box. I might have been able to break him down at last. You know what, Runo? I've been thinking. I wonder if these 2 photographs really are exactly the same. They are not. What?
So, counsel, in the light of the evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? It seems that in fact on the night in question, nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertions?
I don't know. Could there be some hidden discrepancy in these 2 photographic prints somewhere? There is a discrepancy. I wasn't sure at first, but there's a clear discrepancy between these 2 prints. What?
You must identify the location in question for the court, counsel. Indicate the precise location of the discrepancy of which you speak.
It's right here. There's this box.
Take that!
Granted, these 2 prints are almost identical. However, there's one minor discrepancy between them.
What?
When you view the 2 pictures stereoscopically, A single area stands out as being different. The location of this small box. Let me... wait. Unbelievable.
Oh, by Jove, you're right, how extraordinary! The judge's eyes.
What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilded's small box was indeed not stolen from Windybanks on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned it in its place to the shelves.
Are you suggesting that the small box originally deposited by Mr. McGilded is in fact...
Yes, the very same small box I just identified in those photographic prints.
Objection!
Mindless guesswork, what if it was? So a box was moved on the shelf, nothing was stolen, which means quite simply that nothing has changed. That may be true, but... Alright, McGilded's box wasn't stolen then, but doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things? It changes! I believe this changes everything about the case. How can that possibly be? The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting on the shelves at Windybanks as we speak.
Objection!
That won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant.
The court does not oppose your objection, Lord Van Zieks.
Oh, yes! He's on my side now.
Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once. Obtain the small box in question and bring it back here for further examination.
I was just staring at each other. Oh, it's a three-way stare. Death glare, stare, competition.
We should have a report within half an hour. I think perhaps we should recess for a short while until the evidence is brought forth.
To be hoodwinked by such a farce. Disappointing.
I beg your pardon, Lord Van Zieks.
This is nothing but a smokescreen. A Nipponese specialty, it would seem. What are you trying to say? My learned friend has persisted with the same line of reasoning from the very beginning, that this witness's intent was to steal an article belonging to Mr. McGilded from the pawnbrokery. Yet common sense tells us that none of the articles have value enough to be worth stealing in the first place. Exactly! It would be beyond absurd to break into a place for the purpose of stealing such commonplace property. We don't know what was inside the box, so I wouldn't say it was commonplace. If your lordship recalls, Mr. McGilded perished 2 months ago, immediately after the conclusion of his trial. A trial in which he was found not guilty. A trial in which it was established he was the upstanding member of society his reputation implied, in fact. So I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense. The articles of this upstanding member of society pawned were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in one of its pockets and a small box. I assure you, I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me.
That does make rather a lot of sense.
It's not as if it would go to Jews, is it? Thank goodness now, Mr. Rachel now. Can't deposit cash at a pawnbrokery, I'm quite certain of that.
The prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling.
It is incumbent on the defense now to bolster its argument. To explain what possible significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizen could have.
Well, counsel, is your argument in fact demonstrable? Are you able to show proof that the discarded box are in any tangible way related to this case?
Well, What's the matter, Runo? We know that they are related, don't we? They're both vital pieces of evidence. Yes, of course, you and I both know that. We know McGilded's true character, and we know that the disc is significant even if we don't know why. But if we explain all that to the court at this point, we'll have to acknowledge that McGilded's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. That the defense's argument was flawed, based on false information. Oh no! And that would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury. But Ginny... Could it be that Van Zieks knows? Oh, he's luring me into a trap! Is that why he's doing this now? Because he anticipated everything? But maybe... This could be a great opportunity for us. Sorry, what do you mean, Iris? Well, what is it that you always say, Runo? Sooner or later the truth comes out, every time. That is true, but I mean, if we cast doubt at our defense, at my defense, on the defendant even, it does not bode well for us in this trial. Alright, the exact significance of the things that McGilded deposited with Mr. Windybank is something that only Gina can explain to the court. But if I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage our chances of winning this case. What's the right thing to do here? Okay, in real life I would say leave it. But this is a video game, Ace Attorney, we care about the truth and such. So we have to have Gina testify. My lord, the defense would like to make a proposal.
Oh, what proposal, counsel?
While the court awaits the arrival of Mr. McGilded's small box, I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, to the witness stand.
The defendant? To what end?
It's to do with the various articles deposited at the Windybanks by Mr. McGilded, my lord. Miss Lestrade has information relating to them. I believe it would be beneficial for the court to hear what she has to say. It will prove the significance of the articles in question once and for all. Well, things are becoming interesting. That's exactly what you planned, Van Zieks. I presume you've considered the implications of the testimony you're proposing? In particular, the impact it will have on the accused's standing, and indeed your own. Oh, he's given me a hint. Well, I guess he's not that evil. I have.
Lord Van Zieks, would you care to explain that last remark?
The prosecution accepts the defense's proposal. I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear from the accused herself.
Very well, if you have no objection. So the court will now hear the testimony of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. You witnesses currently understand me step down until further notice.
Then I shall bid you good day. Wait, you cannot leave yet. Wait. You, sir, shall remain in the stand while Miss Lestrade testifies. Oh, as you wish. Alright then, Gina, it's time. I know this will be hard, but please Put your faith in me here and tell us the truth. Good luck, Runo.
Good luck, Runo? Oh.
The articles in Mr. McGilded had deposited in Windybank's pawnbrokery are intimately related to the omnibus case, the trial of which was heard in this courtroom 2 months ago.
Yes, and I remember this young lady being brought before me in that trial as well.
That's right, my lord. Her testimony helped to establish the innocence of the defendant, Mr. McGilded. The omnibus case was intriguing, to say the least, and now here we all are again, the same players in that trial facing each other once more. A twist of fate, perhaps, my Nipponese friend. Allow me to recap the events of 2 months ago. An old brickmaker was stabbed to death in an omnibus running along London's winter streets. Apart from the victim, there was only one other person in the carriage, Mr. McGilded. Naturally, he was the prime suspect for the murder. But as the trial progressed, another possibility emerged, that the murder in fact took place above the defendant's head on the roof deck, with the body then being dropped through the skylight into the carriage below. It was Miss Lestrade whose testimony brought that possibility to light. At the time of the incident, Miss Lestrade was concealed under the seat in the carriage, hoping to pick the pockets of unsuspecting passengers. Then immediately after the trial, having been acquitted of the murder, Mr. McGilded died in this very courtroom in the most extraordinary of circumstances. A mystery that remains unsolved even now, 2 months on, as indeed does the omnibus murder itself.
Be that as it may, I recall neither the disc nor the small box being mentioned in the course of those proceedings.
Miss Lestrade? Would you tell the court now, please? What really happened in the omnibus 2 months ago, I mean? I don't know what you mean. I already said all of what I know. And what about everything you told us yesterday from inside your prison cell? Please, Miss Lestrade, this is extremely important. But... Remember, little girl, if it transpires that you willfully withheld information in the trial 2 months ago, the Home Office will seek to prosecute you for perjury. And naturally, you will lose all credibility as a witness. Although, let's face facts, you have little credibility to lose. Well, that's true, I guess. Ginny, don't listen to him. Please, you have to trust Runo now. Iris, we are on your side. Alright then, I'll talk. It's the right choice, Gina. Well, it would seem that my learned friend is hell-bent on bringing the entire courtroom down about his ears. So be it.
I must confess that I'm struggling to understand what on earth is happening here. However, it would appear that Mr. McGilded's pawned articles in that extraordinary case of the omnibus harbor secrets of which we have been hitherto unaware. So, Miss Lestrade, you will now give your testimony before the court about the events of 2 months ago. You will reveal the truth, a commodity sorely lacking in your original statements.
This is it then. Everything's going to come out. Like Van Ziek said. This could bring the whole courtroom down about my ears, but as a lawyer, I'm prepared to take that risk. Am I really? The truth is that Brickmaker Cove was in the cabin of the omnibus the whole time. When the Irishman dragged me out from under the seat, I saw the disc on the floor. All of a sudden, I heard a scream from over me, and that pair on the roof deck went off to call the slobs.
Wait, what?
Okay. That's when McGilded slipped the driver some tin to do a run to the pawn shop roundabout. He threatened me not to snitch, not to say nothing to no one about what I'd seen or heard.
Good grief, this is outrageous! What you've just told the court bears almost no resemblance to your testimony 2 months ago!
As you say, my lord.
Then there's every chance I may have educated in error in McGilded's trial. It sounds very much to me as if the man deliberately deceived his court in an effort to cover up the most wicked of schemes.
Without doubt, your lordship is correct. A great injustice was done in this courtroom 2 months ago. The actions of the accused in that trial, of his witness, and of my learned friend are entirely inexcusable. Well, here it is.
I don't believe it. The whole trial was a farce. It was all lies. That McGilded fellow was rotten to the core, just like that pickpocket. Don't forget that lawyer from the east. They were all in on it together.
You're wrong, the lot of ya! Mr. Naruhodo, the lawyer here, he didn't know nothing about it.
Barger.
I don't think so. Are we really expected to believe that?
You really snitched everything up, didn't you? What an operation to get a man off scot-free.
Unforgivable, stop! The lies have to stop! Yes, the defense made a terrible error of judgment. I intend to take full responsibility and suffer whatever consequences are deemed appropriate. However, wait, it is not my fault. I was just working with the witnesses and the evidence, right? I mean, if he was indeed guilty, it is the prosecution's job to make him guilty. It's imperative that the court allows the witness to elaborate on her testimony, because the true significance of McGilded's pawned articles must be brought to light. Very well, my learned student friend. My learned student friend? That's a new one. Given the depth of calamity you have just plunged yourself into, this may well be worth hearing.
Words fail me. This situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruhodo!
Yes, my lord.
I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial.
Of course, my lord. Blimey, Mr. Naruhodo.
Now, counsel, proceed.
Hold it!
And you were hiding in the cabin at the time as well, weren't you, Mr. Strahd? If I remember rightly, in the storage compartment underneath one of the seats. Yeah, that's right. It's pitch black under there, so you can't see nothing at all.
Now, in your testimony 2 months ago, I feel certain that you claimed Mr. McGilded was the sole passenger, did you not?
False testimony, my lord. That's what he told me I had to say. But it's important that you tell us the truth now. Were Mr. McGilded and the victim acquaintances? I don't know. But I did hear them talking a lot. What were they talking about? Well, I couldn't hear too well, but if I had to say, I think it was about money or something. They kept talking about buying and not buying.
Perhaps business dealings of some kind.
Well, anyway, they got louder and louder. It started to sound like a proper fight. I was pretty scared by then. I hardly dared to breathe, and then, all of a sudden, I heard a noise like someone keeling over on the floor. It was booming loud and all.
And I believe you let out an involuntary scream.
Yeah, that's what gave me away.
Hold it!
Was the disc you saw this disc? Yeah, I reckon it probably was. It was right next to the cove lying on the floor.
Could this disc have belonged to the victim, perhaps?
I don't know, but McGilded picked it up pretty smartish. And then he set the cove with the knife in his belly up on the seat. What did he say to you at that time? He told me not to say a word about what I'd seen or heard to anyone about the disc and all. I was that scared, the way he was looking at me. I thought, if I didn't go along with it, I'd get stuck with that night too. Then he started asking me a load of questions, like what my name was and where I lived and that. He asked me about being a diver too. But after a while, what had happened in the carriage was noticed. Yeah, that's right. First there was a kind of rapping noise.
Hold it!
There were two gentlemen occupying the seats on the roof deck, I believe. That's right. They must have looked down through the skylight and noticed the cove with the knife and in his guts. When they screamed, the driver pulled up the horses and Miss McGilded got me out of sight.
Out of sight? Where?
Back under the seat where I started off. Once the carriage came to an halt, the two coves from the roof ran off to catch the slops. If they immediately left to fetch the police, it would appear they were entirely unrelated to the incident. So that left McGilded, the driver, and you still at the scene. Yeah, only the driver didn't know I was there, cause I was under the seat. I heard the cabin door open and a voice from outside.
The driver, yes, he also testified in the trial, I believe. A fellow who went by the name of Beppo, if memory serves.
What did McGilded and the driver say to each other? I don't know what happened, and stuff like that mainly. Okay, slipped the driver some tin to do a run to the pawn shop.
Hold it!
That pawn shop obviously being Windy Banks on Baker Street.
Just a moment, counsel. Do you mean to tell me that the driver gave false testimony in that trial as well?
Perhaps the excursion to the pawnbrokery slipped his mind when he was in the stand.
Indeed, Lord Van Zieks.
McGilded took off his coat and gave it to the driver. He folded it up, all careful like, before handing it over. When I saw him do that, I remember thinking, that coat and what's in it, it's gotta be worth a few bob. Yes, Gina was sure the disc must be worth more than Mr. Windybank was suggesting, wasn't she? I remember her quibbling with him over the price that afternoon at the pawnbrokery. The driver looked pretty happy when Mr. McGilded flashed some brass in his face. He went running off at a lick. Then the bogtrotter called to me and told me to come out from the drag's cabin.
Hold it!
Threatened you how exactly? Told me I'd only able to scalp her if I did exactly what he said. Which included giving false testimony in court 2 months ago. Yeah, that's it. And there was one other thing he said. Which was... He told me I'd have to hang on to the ticket from the pawn shop and make sure not to lose it.
The ticket? Well, I never.
Said that if he didn't show up to get the ticket off me before 2 months passed, I had to go to the pawn shop and pay the money to keep it in the lug, to stop it being forfeited. He left me with some brass to pay for it.
But really, why on earth would Mr. McGilded have done such a thing? Depositing his overcoat with a pawnbroker before the arrival of the police, it makes no sense.
There would seem to be only one logical explanation, my lord. What McGilded had the driver deposit at Windy Banks was something he didn't want the police to see. Something very important that he needed to hide at all costs.
Oh.
Anyway, after that he let me go, so I legged it before the copper showed up. Well done, Gina. It can't have been easy to tell the truth like that. Ginny's really put her faith in you, Runo. Yes, and to thank her, she'll have to face a charge of perjury once this trial's over. So I need to use the time we have now to get as much information out of her as possible. It's time to really go for it. Press her on every statement. I just did. I suppose I should. Oh, and another thing. What's that? What are they doing? Take a look at those two. Isn't it strange that they've been whispering to each other the entire time? Yes, that is strange. It looks like they're having a secret discussion about something. I'm not sure I'm completely comfortable with that. I wonder if there's anything I can do about it. I have to do something about that! What? Wait, what do I do about that? I pressed on everything. But her testimony contradicts with the fact that the code and the disc belong to Mr. Graydon.
Hold it!
What do I do about this private discussion? Worth a few bob. Huh? I'm at a loss what to do here. Take a look at those two. Isn't it strange that they've been whispering to each other? Anything I can do about it? What can I do about it? Oops. Yeah, press on every statement. I did that. What the heck? I can't even move my cursor around.
Hold it!
Oh, I can move now. Okay, let's move. Can I just pursue them? Right now?
Excuse me!
Is there something you'd like to share with the court, Inspector Gregson and Mr. Graydon? Inspector! Mr. Graydon!
Whoa! Damn, you're trying to give me a heart attack?
You have been whispering to each other for quite some time now. Tell us, what is the discussion about?
Discussion with this fella? Pull the other one, sunshine. And you think I've got anything to talk about with this shady gent like this?
And I have nothing to say to this uncouth detective after he deprived me of that disc that was rightfully mine. But they've clearly been talking the entire time. It's as if they've been negotiating.
Thank you, Mr. Straw. Thank you, Counsel. I've heard enough. I believe we now have a reasonable understanding of what actually transpired on the omnibus.
It would appear on that night 2 months ago, a negotiation was taking place on the omnibus. A negotiation concerning this disc. However, matters did not run smoothly. When the parties involved began to quarrel over price, McGilda took what he wanted by force, at the expense of the other man's life. Which proves my point. The disc is clearly extremely valuable in some way. Although I don't understand why as yet. I think it's a secret message, right? For some foreign government, overseas, perhaps? And 2 days ago, precisely 2 months after the omnibus incident, McGilder's coat and its contents were due to be forfeited. I didn't know what I should do with the ticket. I mean, the cove died right after his trial, I knew that. So you decided you would try to claim the articles as your own. Well, why not, eh? They were only gonna be forfeited, why shouldn't I have got them? Anyway, you can't blame me for thinking about it. Thinking ain't no crime.
That's right. It would appear Mr. McGilder was prepared to kill in order to take possession of this disc. Do you know why that would be? Why that would be?
Eh? I ain't got the clue. But I reckon it must be worth a fair bit of brass. He was probably gonna sell it. And you can't blame me for thinking that. Thinking ain't no crime. Well, you also did not only think, you did want to sell it.
But,
My lord. What? Oh, my lord! The evidence your lordship requests has been located and is ready for this court's inspection, sir. The mysterious little box deposited by McGilded 2 months ago. There's no doubt in my mind that it's a key piece in this far-reaching puzzle.